All right, we're moving into the second hour conversation right now for our Becoming feature. And we're speaking about staying the course in your own kind of way. You know, we all stylizing our lives in a particular way. And somehow we forget down the road and we start maybe at times adopting other people's style of doing things. Maybe down the road you get discouraged. Maybe you are in a place where there's absence of recognition. Maybe the criticism is very loud. How do you keep going and staying the course despite setbacks? How do you continue building when others have stopped watching? How do you maintain integrity when others are taking shortcuts that seem easier? How do you believe in the fact that you are here and you have value? That's the conversation we are having today with Kgaogelo Photoane, who is a life coach. Welcome to Becoming. Kgaogelo, it's always good to have you in our conversations.
Thank you so much. I feel like a member of the family right now.
You are.
You are.
You don't have to feel it. You must know it. You should
Oh,
own it.
I am, and I'll own it.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit about this one. Staying the course is so difficult, right? Especially when you've had experience, when you're at a point in your life where you've had certain victories. You don't need that much validation, but sometimes you just get tired of keeping moving because it's expected of you. It's not easy, right? Just getting going despite all these things that you've achieved, but also when you look forward and you're like, I still need to do more. Hey, how do I keep going?
You know what? I think people primarily need to understand what their why is. If you're not clear on your why, it is very difficult to keep going. And the thing is, you need to be aware of your why even when people aren't looking. Because if you are only doing it when people are clapping, people are looking, you're not very passionate about that thing and it's not for you. It's very, very important to understand that your road and other people's roads are not the same. So put your head down, stay in your lane, stay in your race, and I promise you.
It's easier said than done, right? Because we all need a feeling of motivation. Some of us actually need that recognition, but in the midst of that not being there, how do you get going? Let's go back to this why that you said is important. What do you mean when you say why? Because many people don't understand that concept of you need to know why you're doing what you're doing. Hey, I wake up in the morning, I'm getting my bills paid. That's what is my why. But it seems like the why that you're talking about is beyond that.
100%. I think if you look at, the mundane, waking up in the morning, going to work just to pay your bills are your why, So you need something bigger, something greater that is very meaningful to you. There are people whose why is, I want to be influential. I want to, advocate for this particular thing. I want to be the woman that I've always dreamed of. I want to do this for my child. I want to do this for my parents. Have a why that is very clear to you. Because if you don't have a why, you're not going to have motivation. And motivation is, it will not always be there. I think I'm motivated probably 2 hours in the whole week. That's why you need discipline. And discipline is consistent habits, whether you feel like it or not. But motivation, validation, very temporary.
Yeah. Kgaogelo, we live in a time of instant gratification. And I think because of this, a lot of us are starting to become a little bit restless, right? We think, if I'm looking on social media and everyone has their life together, even at the ages that are below me, that must mean I'm doing something wrong. It must mean I've already failed, so I must just give up and look for something else. How do we bypass this, especially these days where we're so heavily influenced by what other people are also doing in their lives?
We need to understand the concept of social media, right? The concept of social media is to bring about an idea of how you want people to perceive you. Social media is not real. There are people that aren't even living the lives that they portray. So it is so important for people to understand that overnight success is very, very rare. We're not going to be, what's her name? Uncle Waffles, who was an overnight sensation. Not all of us are going to have that. Does it happen? Very rarely, but it does happen. The rest of us need to understand that staying the course is very important because it brings about meaningful change, it brings about meaningful achievement and success that you're gunning for. But will it happen overnight? No. And it's so important to also not compare your life, your real life, to someone's highlights on social media because there isn't a particular time frame of when to do things. That's why it's so important to have clear goals. It's so important to have clear timelines. It's so important, again, to know your why. It's so important to also have the goal in mind. Keep your head down. People need to realize that you need to keep your head down and do the work. If you're not going to do the work, if you want overnight success, then just start doing the mundane things and just start playing your goals because you're not very passionate about that particular dream that you have.
Yeah, I love the fact that you say stay the course, put your head down, get to it. But what does that actually mean in terms of a routine that you set up for yourself? I know it's going to look different for different people, right? Because of the different interests that we have, different forms of our definition of what purpose looks like. But, that kind of routine is something that's going to energize you, right? What do you think are the key things that you can incorporate in your life to have that spark, to have that passion that you are talking about?
I think first and foremost, it is very, very, very crucial that you have your goals because your routine are going to feed from your goals. So be very clear of the person you want to be or the business you want to be about, whatever it is that you are dreaming of. Have those routines, have those goals, and ask yourself, someone that has already achieved what I want to achieve, what would their routine look like, right? And as soon as you have what their routine would look like, then you incorporate it into your own life. The thing with that is, you might have your routine, but if you're not doing it, the work won't be done and the dream won't be achieved. So it's very, very crucial for you to have a routine that is consistent, because consistency helps bring momentum. It helps to reinforce those habits, to reinforce that routine, and it transforms effort into tangible things. Because if you don't have a routine, then you're going through life without a plan, and your dreams then will become just dreams. In order to bring about that thing into life, you have to be able to see it. And when you see it, you have the habits that bring it about. And when you do that and you're consistent and you have momentum and you're consistent even when you have setbacks and you're consistent even when you don't feel like it, there is no other way but the universe to conspire with you to bring about that dream that you're hoping for.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like very practical, not just like, the universe will respond, but it's like you're creating kind of like systems, right? You're creating things that are patterns that are going to end up becoming a foundation, almost like a fallback, even when crisis happens, okay, you know what? At least I've got this routine, I've got this consistency in my life, and that creates a platform for me to keep going on and on. We'll continue the conversation with you. Stay as we speak on our Becoming feature today. Are you discouraged? Maybe it's that time of the year where you're looking back, it's November, and you're like, yeah, I did so many things, but so many other things didn't happen. How do I keep going? 2026 is around the corner, right? I was telling my friends, like, yeah, we've done 2025, but guy, we still have to go to 2026. It's not over yet. We have to keep going.
Yeah.
How do we do that? We'll continue after the break.
The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a amené à dire ça? Est-ce que vous avez observé un certain nombre d'événements dans la vie? Est-ce que c'était par rapport à une expérience? Est-ce que vous avez rencontré des choses qui vous ont dit il faut de la patience, comme ça les choses vont venir au bon moment et le bon Dieu pourra peut-être me visiter?
Oui, c'était justement un conseil que le Seigneur m'a fait inspirer pour donner à son peuple, parce qu'il y a la plupart des gens, pendant que Dieu bénit les autres, ils pensent que Dieu les a oubliés, et pendant que Dieu ouvre pour les autres, ils pensent que peut-être Dieu n'a pas pu écouter leurs prières. Alors, ce n'est pas le cas. Alors, Dieu bénit tout un chacun de nous avec son temps. Donc, le temps de Dieu est toujours le meilleur dans la vie de tout un chacun de nous.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Listen in on Channel Africa.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
We're talking about the importance of staying the course, doing what needs to be done until you reach where you intend to go. Kgaogelo Photoane, life coach, continues this conversation with us. Let's speak about the moments of discouragement because, for the outside world, when you see someone who's resilient, who's staying the course, you just think, wow, I wish I could be that person one day. They're so strong. How do they do that? And it seems like there's all praise. But on the inside, that person might really be struggling because staying the course isn't something that's easy to do. So when you come across those moments of discouragement, those moments of low energy, what should you do to revive yourself so you can keep staying on that course?
I think it's very, very important to review why you are where you are. It's very important to look at why you find yourself in a place where you are frustrated, where you are hopeless, or where you're about to give up. Because a lot of people have a reason for this. You might have unclear goals. You might have an unclear why. You might be a perfectionist, or you might have a fear of failure. And those things are so debilitating. So it's so important to understand where you are and why you are there. So that includes you sitting down and really, really reviewing, your dreams, your goals, and your action steps. It's also so important that outside of that, you need to look at your goals and be able to break them into bite-sized, chewable steps. Because a lot of us have goals, but our action steps just don't make sense, right? And it's so important, again, to establish routines and habits that feed into the person that you want to be, or that feed into the thing that you want to bring alive. The other thing is tracking progress in the sense of celebrating small wins. A lot of us keep going and going and going, and we only recognize when something is not working. We don't recognize where we did well. We don't recognize when we got a win.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I really, really encourage my clients to do every night is just think of 3 things that you achieved today. It could be as easy as, say, if you're feeling depressed, waking up in the morning, getting into the shower. And if you are feeling a little bit, disappointed, it's so important to try at least 3 things from your action steps. And if you get even 1 or 2, celebrate it. I think a lot of us are waiting for external validation instead of really counting on that internal validation. Because if you don't validate yourself, you don't have the confidence to go on. You don't trust yourself, with your dreams. You don't trust yourself with even yourself. So it's so important to really pay attention to those wins. And the one thing that I really, 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 really love is visualization, right? To see the thing that you want, or to see the person that you want very clear in your head.
Yeah.
How I do it is I close my eyes and I try to put that picture on, because your brain doesn't know the difference between something that's actually happening or something that you're thinking about very vividly. And once you're able to see it in your mind, you're able to hold it in your hands. I know a lot of self-help books really encourage this, but because it works. So if you're feeling like you're not getting anywhere, your dreams aren't coming together, stop, review, bite-sized action steps.
I love that.
Chewable
Sure.
action.
Absolutely. That's so powerful. Just going back to that issue that you were speaking on is something that cripples so many people to keep going on because maybe they've made a mistake. Maybe they've failed in something. Maybe they've gotten something that is positive, but there's that thing that persists in their life, which is the form of fear. I'll give you an example. At the beginning of the year, I had this kind of thing. I was like, you know what? I want to go back to church, right? So it's like, right, abazalwane. Yo, are they even going to accept me there? I'm such a, I'm dodgy, Pelamina, And then I go back, then I go, and I'm like, you know what? I resisted, but it was just this fear. How am I going to be accepted into this community, And I went into a particular community and I was like, okay, it's okay. It's okay. I'm in the building at least, right? And then I would go 1 week as like, I'm not sure if those people like me, right? And then the other 2 weeks I wouldn't go. And then I'll go the other week and I'm like, I'm not so sure. But then there was something like, just keep doing what you want to do and keep going, right? And the more I kept going into that community, the more I was grafted in, the more I was accepted, the more conversations I was having with different people. And there was kind of like, okay, this is okay. But if I kept persisting in my fear and kind of like, you know what, these people won't like me, I would have probably stayed away forever, right? Because of that internal false narrative inside of us. And it happens all of a sudden. And just yesterday, I was invited to choir. Like, come sing with us today.
Hey.
I'm going to choir today. So I've made it a big leap, right? But I think that fear is something that paralyzes most of us. And I think it's such an important thing for us to know that fear shouldn't be that dominating voice in our lives. And I love the fact that you highlighted that idea of fear.
A lot of us, and your story is a great example of this, is we think things that haven't even happened, right? As a protective mechanism. You were thinking, oh my goodness, will they accept me? Do I really want to go there? Even though you knew you wanted to go there. Those people never said once, we don't want you here. But that fear created scenarios that aren't even true. And a lot of us really face that same problem. We sit down and we're like, I want to do this, but what are people going to think? I want to do this, but I don't think my craft is perfected yet. So that thing makes you stagnant. So I'm one that says, try and fail. Rather try and fail because you've tried. And when you try and fail, you see where the loopholes are and you're able to go back to the drawing board and fill those loopholes. But if you don't try, you've already lost. You failed. There's no stepping stone. There's nothing. You failed, right? And I think that's what people don't understand. Letting failure win leads you to fail because you're not doing anything. So people need to just they should be able to just jump into things without that certainty that it will work out.
Yeah. All right, Kgaogelo, let's wrap things up. For those who are trying to stay their course and trying to do their best, even those who feel discouraged in their own journeys right now, what are your final sentiments about this? And just really trying to understand how hard we should or shouldn't be on ourselves. Are you still there, Kgaogelo? Okay, it seems
Sorry,
like
I lost you there. I'm sorry, Palesa.
all right. Did you hear my final question? All right, we have lost Kgaogelo on the line, but I think we still wrapped it up on a good note.
Sure.
Because, just really understanding that we know it's not easy,
No,
but
not
if you
at
really
all.
are looking for that thing, you just have to keep trying.
We just keep going, right?
Yeah.
And I think there are positive things to actually surround ourselves with, that visualization she spoke about, that positive kind of thinking is such an important thing. But most importantly, I think surround yourself with people who are for you, man. People who just want you to be the best that you can be. Sometimes we're around the wrong crowd and then we don't think we can keep moving.
Absolutely. What are your sentiments on this particular one? What have the challenges been for you in your own journey of resilience and staying the course? But also, how have you overcome those challenges? Let us know. We're open for you at Channel Africa 1 and on our WhatsApp line +27 63406 9126. Thank you so much to Life Coach Kgaogelo Photoane for joining us in this conversation.